The much anticipated Sagana 3 meeting took place this afternoon at the Nyeri State House Lodge in Sagana. And during that meeting, President Kenyatta did not disappoint. As expected, he went into details as to why he believes that his deputy, William Samoei Ruto, is not the safest or is not a safe pair of hands to be given the instruments of power. And during that meeting today, President Uhuru Kenyatta has shown his support, or has rather endorsed Raila Amolo Odinga to be the 5th president of Kenya. I will try to summarize the highlights of the Sagana meeting. And the first one is the handshake. President Uhuru Kenyatta spent a few minutes explaining to the Wananchi, even though it was in his own mother tongue. He explained to his Wananchi that prior to the handshake, he engaged William Ruto on the same and made him fully aware that the country was headed in the wrong direction and that something needed to be done. They needed to meet with Raila Odinga and mend up fences, despite their past animosity, despite their past abuses, despite what happened during the 2017 elections. And as a matter of fact, President Uhuru Kenyatta made it clear that throughout his negotiations with Raila Odinga, he totally kept William Samoei Ruto updated. And he was on board with everything. And even on that date that they shook hands with Raila Odinga, the last person that Kenyatta spoke with was William Samoei Ruto. So what myth or what lie does that truth that came out today regarding the handshake debunk? We obviously are aware that William Samoei Ruto, since 2018, has been going round the country castigating the handshake, saying that the handshake has brought disunity in the country, saying that since the handshake came into existence, Raila Odinga has managed to confuse President Uhuru Kenyatta, and the Big Four agenda has been thrown into disarray. People were quite shocked this afternoon to learn that William Samoei Ruto knew everything about the handshake. So why has he been lying? Why has he been spreading rumors throughout the country? Why has he actually been driving a divisive wedge throughout the nation when Kenyatta and Raila Odinga's intentions were quite clear? Their intentions were to unite a country that was falling apart, a country that was being ripped right in the middle, with Raila Odinga's half of the country supporting him. In fact, Kenyatta said that he went out of his way to compensate some of the Kikuyu business people who lost their properties out of his own pocket. He had to lobby his friends to chip in and assist him compensate these businessmen, businesswomen who lost their properties and valuables. William Ruto was actually against a reconciliation. He was actually saying that tunafaa ukae ngumu, tuko na serikali. But being the president of the nation, being the one on whose doorstep the buck stops, Kenyatta went out of his way to mend fences with Raila Odinga. So the myth about the handshake having been the source or the cause of the troubles in Jubilee was clearly debunked. Over to the next myth that was debunked today at Sagana 3. We all know that William Samoei Ruto has spent a considerable amount of time in the Mount Kenya region. As a matter of fact, before Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula joined the UDA bandwagon to form the Kenya Kwanza Alliance, William Samoei Ruto was spending nearly every weekend in one of the counties in Mount Kenya. There were times that he could fly from one county to the other, spreading propaganda that the president had not done anything for his people. It is during that time that President Kenyatta's people in the Mount Kenya region started developing bad blood towards their own brother, because William Samoei Ruto launched a massive propaganda campaign aided by the 54% first-term MPs, the Ndindi Nyoro, Kimani Ichung'wah, Rigathi Gachagua, even Waititu before he was impeached. These guys came in handy when dividing the wedge in Mount Kenya region was needed by William Samoei Ruto. And even Moses Kuria himself is on record as having said that Kenyatta had done nothing for his people. To the rest of the country, this came across as being insensitive, because we've seen parts of Kenya like northeastern Kenya. Since independence, they've never had some good infrastructure like roads, electricity connection, telephone connection. And we saw Mount Kenya complaining that the president had done nothing when people knew fully well that billions of Kenyan shillings were being channeled into central Kenya. So Kenyatta this afternoon was able even to do a slideshow. They did a slideshow that showcased his development record in central Kenya. And this was not propaganda, unlike William Ruto's. This was evident. It was right there for people to see. For example, President Kenyatta informed the meeting that his administration, his government, has issued 5.4 million title deeds, a third of which have gone to the counties in central Kenya. A third is roughly 1.64 million title deeds. And we all know with a title deed, that is like money in your hands. You can walk into any bank with your title deed, secure a loan, develop your shamba, build a property, or go and start a business, a small startup. So Kenyatta has actually helped his people to secure proof of ownership to their land. The price of coffee is currently selling at 110 shillings per kilo, up from 20 shillings per kilo during the Kibaki era. And he made it clear that this is post-handshake. And I think the reason why Kenyatta did that with his development record, he wanted to make it clear that most of his achievements have been after the handshake, after the 2018 handshake. Because we all know that in the first term of the Ruto administration, it was pure looting. There was no work being done. The state coffers were being looted dry by one part of the presidency. The price of tea has increased by 42% post the handshake. And the minimum amount or the minimum auction price for tea is now 311 shillings, up from 181 shillings. And this is post the handshake, after Munya came in. In fact, he did congratulate Peter Munya for the splendid job that he's managed to do in the Ministry of Agriculture. As a matter of fact, Kenyatta did say to the people that these that are coming into your areas, these that are coming into Mount Kenya, spreading propaganda, saying that they need to be elected to make things right. How can they make things right when they are the ones who have already caused the problems we are experiencing? Quite a valid question. Prior to the massive irrigation scheme that is going on in the Mwea rice fields, Kenya used to import rice from Pakistan. And we know this that used to import the rice that was being imported was substandard rice when we've got our own rice fields. But right now, because of these positive agricultural policies that Munya put into place and the massive amounts of money that have been pumped into the rice sector in Mwea, Kirinyaga County, the farmers of Mwea are now able to sell rice to the tune of 1 billion shillings. All the rice that is being consumed by the police recruits in their training colleges, by the NYS recruits and other government organizations and government bodies is not imported. It's coming straight from Mwea. Another great achievement. Farmers in Mwea now have a reason to smile. So clearly, Ruto's propaganda that Uhuru Kenyatta had abandoned his people has fallen flat on its face. We know the Mau Mau Road that is being built, 500 kilometers of well-tarmacked road, meandering through the villages, through the counties of central Kenya. Is that not development? We've seen the port of Lamu. We've seen that highway that is being built that will connect Mombasa to Lamu, to northeastern Kenya, cutting through Nanyuki, Kitui. Is that not development? We've seen the revamped railway line from Nairobi to Nyeri that is being used to transport fuel direct to Nyeri and the other Mount Kenya counties. Does that not count as development? So that myth or that lie, propaganda lie, that Kenyatta had done nothing for his people was totally debunked. It was demystified this afternoon in Sagana. Moving over to the third one, the president called into question Ruto's integrity. As a matter of fact, it was the first time that the president came out directly and accused his deputy of being behind the Aror Kimwarer Dams saga, corruption saga, where over 7 billion as per Ruto, because Ruto did say some time back that only 7 billion shillings was lost and that they were going to recover that. The president made it clear this afternoon that 3 billion shillings was lost. And it is these 3 billion shillings that this chap is going into the churches to corrupt our church leaders, to buy their trust, to buy their allegiance, and to corrupt them. We've seen that. Unless you're new in Jerusalem, we all know who has been donating vast amounts of money to churches, to youth groups. Even though there was a rumor doing the rounds of late that they could donate 5 million shillings but go back and collect 4 million, which is quite absurd. So Kenyatta was able to call out the Kenyan church. They were called out for their hypocrisy. They fully well know where this money is coming from, but they are taking this money with glee, rubbing their hands with glee. We saw them allowing the politicians to use the pulpit to abuse the head of state, to abuse the senior citizens, and to abuse their opponents. Not saying that Kidaweke has not done that. They've done that, but we know they that have the propensity for abusing others the moment they mount the pulpit. So the Kenyan church was called out. And personally, for me as a Christian, I think it calls for a lot of soul searching. If someone like the president can call out the church and say, this is what you're doing, can't you see that it means that the church has failed? It should be the other way around. It should be the church calling out the state. But because of the influence of money, because of the dalliance with questionable characters, it's now the world or the state calling out the church. So President Uhuru Kenyatta was able this afternoon to put a big question mark on his deputy's integrity and the issue of lying. We all know that whenever the guy opens his mouth, obviously there's going to be a lie. All the promises he made about this football stadiums, the dams, the laptops for the kids, none of them has come to pass. And right now, the guy is even making more outrageous promises. For example, in the first term, when they were being elected into office, he clearly said that they were going to create 1 million jobs a year, which they never did. And instead of saying that I will try 1 million jobs a year was too over ambitious, we will try and create at least 300,000 jobs a year, the guy has even quadrupled it. He's already said they're going to create 4 million jobs a year, which becomes quite laughable. If they couldn't create 1 million jobs, where on God's good earth are they going to create 4 million jobs a year? The last point that I want to make today regarding the Sagana 3 meeting is the resurrection of Jubilee. We all saw Tanga celebrating and gallivanting across the country, saying that Jubilee is dead and buried. But it would appear that President Kenyatta has now had the last laugh. It would appear that President Kenyatta knew what he was doing with Kina Murathe and Kina Tuju. In fact, there was a time Murathe said that his mandate, that his task or responsibility was to kick William Samoei Ruto and his Tanga brigade out of Jubilee. And that appears to have been the plain truth, because Jubilee in the last few days has been revamped. Kenyatta attributed his development record on Jubilee. And we've seen they've changed their logo. In the coming weeks, UDA will be depopulated. All the Mount Kenya aspirants that wanted to vie for a parliamentary MCA, senator or gubernatorial seat on an UDA ticket will now have to go back to the drawing board. They will now have to go back and seek a Jubilee ticket, because we all know that UDA will not penetrate Mount Kenya, especially with people like Moses Kuria, Kionjori, Kiraito Murungi's Mbas party. I can guarantee you, and you can take this to the bank, in the coming elections, a lot of MCAs, senators, governors, and other political seats will be taken by Jubilee. And not only Jubilee, they will be shared by the other Central Kenya parties, like Chama cha Kazi, Moses Kuria's Chama cha Kazi, Martha Karwa's NAK party, Kionjuri's TSP party. There will be no way that UDA will manage to get as many seats as they would have gotten if Jubilee was not revamped. So President Uhuru Kenyatta made it clear to his people that Jubilee is back into action. And we know with that statement, a lot of funds will be pumped into Jubilee. And anyone standing or anyone running on a Jubilee ticket will be given the necessary financial backing so that UDA can be taught a lesson. As I come to an end of this video, the gloves are now out. The gloves are now out. And it's a bare knuckle fight. In fact, before I recorded this video, I've seen an article by Dennis Itumbe, saying that William Samoei Ruto will hold a rally in Nyeri this Saturday. I don't think that's an advisable move for William Ruto to make. It's clearly a show of disrespect, especially coming 2 days after Kenyatta's Sagana 3 meeting. What is he trying to show the president? Interesting days ahead. Thank you very much for viewing this video. And for those that are new, could you kindly take a minute and subscribe, like, and share, and support me as we grow this channel together. Thank you and God bless. Thank you. Bye-bye.